So lately I've seen a lot of new vehicles coming out and they look really, really cool. There's the Toyota Tacoma, the Land Cruiser, the new 4Runner, the Grenadier is awesome. The new Scout that's coming up, Bronco that came out a couple of years ago. So many really, really cool vehicles that are coming out now, but the prices of those vehicles are so high. I thought, is that just me? Am I just feeling that these prices are really high, or actually are they really getting high? And they actually are. So I looked into the reasons of why that might actually be. First off, the average new price of a vehicle is roughly $50,000. The average national salary in the United States is like $59,000. When you're looking at the prices of what's considered like an affordable car, or a car that's like in that $20,000 to $30,000 range, are pretty much gone. I mean, I don't know if you can even find anything like that at all anymore. Cars that are at $25,000 or less have actually decreased 80% in the last 5 years. In 2023, only 10 car models were available in that price range, as compared to 36 models 5 years prior to that. The overall trend is going away from the lesser expensive $25,000, $30,000 car range up to that $50,000 national average. What's pushing all of this drive to more expensive vehicles? Well, I found like 5 major factors that go into that. So the first one is transition to electric vehicles. So many car companies are putting so much money into factories and research and development and batteries and trying to push towards electric vehicles. And that takes a lot of money to do that. And in order to do that, they have to come up with that money. And so average price of vehicles goes up because they have to fund that somehow. The second one is just general focus on SUVs and luxury vehicles, because that is where the profit is. There's higher profit margins on SUVs and luxury vehicles as compared to the affordable vehicles. And so if you're going to be making vehicles, you probably want to make ones that make higher profitability. So naturally, car companies are leaning towards those vehicles. And so there's less selection of the more affordable cars to even choose from. Another factor is increased production costs, just cost of materials in general, aluminum, steel, electronics, all of those costs are going up, and those all have to be factored into the price of creating a vehicle. A lot of people want options. They want all these extra add-ons, and all of that costs money. The fourth factor that is affecting the overall increase in price would be tariffs on Chinese automakers. A lot of Chinese cars can fill that market of the very low cost, affordable market, but tariffs on those are basically making them more difficult to compete in the United States. And so they end up just not even competing at all. And so there just aren't even those options available, even to the people who want the Chinese cheaper vehicles. The last factor that I found that is generally pushing the trend of vehicle prices way higher is people that are increasingly relying on high interest loans, but loans that are very long term. So people are leaning more towards average vehicle loan of 68 or 72 months, as opposed to just the 2 to 3 or 4 year loans. And because of that, people are spending much, much higher overall costs when you incorporate all that interest into it. And because these loans are now more available, it's becoming easier for people to afford those higher luxury SUVs. And so if the way to afford them is there, and the market is pushing more towards there, and people are buying those things, just naturally all the prices start going up because of these SUVs and luxury vehicles. I guess when you say people are able to afford them, that's not necessarily true, because they're really still not. You're actually paying more when you factor in all that interest after so many years. And let's say you end up getting into an accident with the depreciation, you end up paying more than what that vehicle is even worth. It's just a dangerous cycle to get into. Now, eventually things might even out a little bit as people start to look more at the used car market. That's where I'm at. And that is actually the reason I got this vehicle. Now, this is a 2018 Toyota 4Runner, and I got it used. When you look at the used car market, there's actually a lot of vehicles out there. So when you look at all these new vehicles coming out, yeah, they look really cool. They're 50, 60, sometimes 70, 80, or $90,000 or more. It's very, very easy to get sucked into the marketing of them and how cool they are. And yeah, if you can afford them, great. They're very cool. A lot of the vehicles are very, very cool. But in order to stay financially responsible and not take out a super long interest loan on a vehicle that you can't afford, there's so many good vehicles on the used market. And this 4Runner is an example of that, with apps that you can find like Auto Trader or Car Gurus or whatever. You have the search ability across the entire nation, and you can ship a vehicle from anywhere for maybe about $1,000 or so. In fact, this vehicle was bought from Florida, and it cost about $1,000 to ship it. This car was about $33,000, and it's a 2018 4Runner TRD off-road. And I mean, that's half the price of some of these new vehicles that are coming out, and it's still a very, very good vehicle. And in fact, one reason why I got the 4Runner first is that I always like 4Runners, and I've kind of always had a 4Runner. One is that the reliability is incredible. This thing is a beast. It's a tank. It can get through anything. I happen to drive through a lot of bad weather, including blizzards and snowstorms, and this vehicle can get through it without a problem. And so I needed something like that that was reliable, that wasn't going to break down, and that wasn't going to freeze to death in a blizzard somewhere. So this vehicle is very, very reliable as long as you keep up with the maintenance. Now, reliability is not an excuse to forget about maintenance. I do take it in and get routine maintenance done like Toyota recommends and just get all that stuff done. And it stays reliable and functional. The TRD off-road came with locking rear differential, came with crawl control, multi-terrain select. It came with all those goodies that you can't really add later on. That's why I went with the TRD off-road. Now, I did not go with premium in order to save more money. I also did not want a moonroof. I did not want any chance of any sort of leaking or malfunction. Also, I just don't like a sunroof. I like having more insulation. In the winter, in the cold, you just get more cold radiating through. I did not want that. Let's say that you want an updated infotainment center, or you want front cameras, or you want heated seats, or you want wireless Apple CarPlay or wireless phone charging. Well, the good news is you can have all of that. If you get a used car with a very good aftermarket support, like Toyotas in general, there's so much aftermarket support. You can get a new head unit for like $600 or so. You can replace the entire infotainment center. You can get wireless Apple CarPlay. You can get navigation. If you want wireless car charger, you can do that. I added that here for like $40. Super cheap, super easy. If you want a front camera, you can add that. I added a front facing camera for like $150, $180, something like that. Did the wiring myself, and now I have a front facing camera. It's awesome. You can add other things too, like LED lights. There's tons of LED lights for front, for rear tail lights. LED interior lights, those are super easy to change out. In fact, in like the first week, that's what I did. Changed out all the LED interior lighting for like $20. So there's so many different things that you can do aftermarket and slowly build up the vehicle and get the vehicle to where you want it to be. If you really like heated seats, you can add heated seats. You can go kind of the cheaper way, which is just heated seat covers that plug in, or you can actually take the seats apart and put the insert with the heated elements in the seat themselves and install new switches. Now, I haven't done that yet. I'm kind of thinking about that, but that is an option. I don't have to buy a $50 or $60 or $70,000 vehicle in order to get those things. I can just add those. In fact, when I look on these apps right now, looking across the country, I can search nationwide and I can see tons of good vehicles, really good vehicles, with known reliability within my price range, and I can get them shipped to me. Now, there is a little bit of a risk, but you can mitigate that risk by going through a dealer. A dealer is going to have maybe some sort of warranty or some sort of refund policy. You can get a certified used vehicle where they go through the vehicle, they make sure it's reliable, they make sure that everything is updated as far as what needs to be fixed. You can mitigate that risk and you can feel pretty confident about buying a vehicle online from another dealer across the country somewhere. It's totally doable. I did it with this vehicle. It worked out pretty well. It was not that difficult. And I think that's kind of what I'm going to keep doing. I see these really cool Land Cruisers around. I see these new updated Tacomas around. I'm probably just going to get one of those in maybe a few years after they're used. Might even think about a Grenadier later on, many years from now, when those become more used. Part of the fun of getting a used vehicle is adding some of those modifications and updating things as you want it. You might find that, actually you don't really use heated seats that often, so you don't need them. Or you might find that you're okay with this infotainment system, or maybe you don't even really use a front-facing camera. Or maybe you really want one, you can add it. That's kind of the fun of building up a vehicle. If more people tend to go that way, it'll drive used car market prices up as the supply goes down. But the thing is, there will always be used vehicles out there. Some people will always buy new vehicles. Some people will always buy used vehicles. There's always going to be plenty to go around. Eventually, if automakers see that more people are just steering more towards the used market, that might incentivize them to bring some of the prices down, maybe not have such luxurious vehicles. So just some thoughts. I thought that was kind of interesting to go over some of the reasons why the average vehicle is so high nowadays. Leave a comment below if you have any input or insight, or if you think that I missed any of the reasons why vehicles are so expensive. And let me know if you are thinking about buying a new vehicle versus a used vehicle. And if you're thinking about a used vehicle, let me know what you're looking at. I'm always interested in that. And actually, I kind of look at used vehicles just for the fun of it. So let me know. Thanks a lot for watching. Go ahead and subscribe, like it. Really helps out the channel. We'll catch you next time.